How liquor license transfers work. When selling a restaurant, every restaurant sale involving alcohol reaches a point where the transaction cannot move forward until the liquor license is addressed. State approval, clarification, or additional conditions may be required before closing. That delay does not have to become a crisis. Problems usually arise when the licensing process starts too late. Liquor license rules are state-specific, and timelines are often measured in months rather than weeks. Buyers should never assume a license transfers automatically with the business. Sellers may also misunderstand the process. This article explains how liquor licensing works in a restaurant sale, why requirements vary by state, and how planning can prevent delays. The first thing buyers must understand, in most states, a liquor license is issued to a specific person or business entity. It is not transferred like equipment, furniture, or other restaurant assets. When ownership changes, the buyer usually must complete a separate application. That application may include background checks, financial disclosures, fees, public notices, and agency review. The process is controlled by the state, not by the parties to the transaction. Some states allow person-to-person transfers for certain licenses. Other states, including Texas and North Carolina, generally require the new owner to apply for a new permit. In Texas, the previous owner's permit does not transfer, and the process may take approximately 45 to 60 days. Understanding the license structure before going under contract is essential because it shapes the closing timeline. Why requirements vary by state. Liquor licensing is governed at the state level. Each state has its own agencies, applications, fees, and timelines. What works in Florida may not apply in Texas, California, or North Carolina. Some states allow certain licenses to transfer from seller to buyer. Florida quota licenses and certain California licenses are examples. These transfers still require applications, background checks, fees, and approval. Many states require the buyer to apply for a new license. The application may involve financial review, background checks, public notice, local approvals, and agency processing. Other states use a hybrid structure. Some license types transfer, while others remain tied to the owner or location. Florida is a strong example. Florida liquor license types. Florida restaurant transactions commonly involve 3 license types: the 2 COP, 4 COP quota, and 4 COP SFS. The 2 COP permits beer and wine sales. It is non-quota, meaning the number of licenses is not limited. A buyer still must complete the state application and review process. The 4 COP quota permits beer, wine, and full liquor service. These licenses are limited by county population, which can make them valuable. They may be transferred between owners within the same county, subject to state approval, background checks, and transfer fees. The 4 COPSFS, or Special Food Service License, permits full liquor service for qualifying restaurants. The restaurant must generally have at least 2,000 square feet of service area, seating for at least 120 patrons, and at least 51% of gross revenue from food and non-alcoholic beverages. Unlike a quota license, the SFS license is tied to the qualifying restaurant and location. The buyer must qualify for a new license rather than purchasing the existing license as a separate asset. Before acquiring a restaurant with an SFS license, buyers should confirm the seating capacity, service area, menu, and projected sales mix. The food revenue requirement is ongoing. Why liquor licenses delay closings. Liquor license applications often take longer than expected. Due diligence, financing, lease approval, and licensing may all run on different schedules. A 45-day due diligence period combined with a 45 to 60-day licensing process can create a closing timeline of 3 to 4 months. That may conflict with financing commitments, lease deadlines, or the seller's preferred schedule. Applications also require buyers to provide information before they may feel ready. Background checks, financial disclosures, and public notices can reveal the incoming ownership before due diligence is complete. However, the licensing clock does not begin until the application is submitted. A certified restaurant broker with local experience can help both parties identify requirements early and build realistic deadlines into the contract. What buyers should do. Buyers should identify the license type before making an offer. Ask, What license does the restaurant hold? Is it transferable? What application process applies? How long does approval usually take? Can the buyer qualify? Buyers should begin the application as early as the state permits. In many cases, the process can begin after the purchase agreement is signed. Starting early allows licensing, due diligence, financing, and lease approval to move forward together. Some buyers also hire a liquor license attorney or permit service. Local professionals can help prevent missing documents, incorrect forms, and other delays. What sellers should do. Sellers should know the exact license type, whether it is transferable, whether it is tied to the location, and what the buyer must do to obtain approval. A seller who can explain the license clearly and provide current documentation creates confidence. A seller who cannot answer basic licensing questions may create unnecessary concern and delay. Both parties should include a realistic licensing timeline in the purchase agreement. The closing date should reflect the actual state process rather than an optimistic estimate. In some states, early possession or an interim management agreement may allow the buyer to operate while approval is pending. These arrangements require proper legal and regulatory guidance. The license as a value driver. In states where licenses are scarce and transferable, the license may represent a meaningful part of the restaurant's value. Florida 4 COP quota licenses, for example, may sell for tens of thousands of dollars or more depending on the county and market. A restaurant holding one may be selling both an operating business and a limited regulatory asset. Sellers should make sure the license value is documented and considered in the asking price and valuation. At We Sell Restaurants, our certified restaurant brokers understand how state-specific liquor licensing can affect restaurant transactions. Early planning, accurate information, and realistic timelines can help buyers and sellers avoid preventable delays and keep the deal moving toward closing. Have questions about how liquor licensing affects your transaction? Connect with a We Sell Restaurants certified restaurant broker. Find out what your restaurant, including its liquor license, may be worth. Request a free valuation from We Sell Restaurants. We Sell Restaurants is the nation's largest restaurant brokerage, specializing in restaurant sales, acquisitions, and franchise resales. Our certified restaurant brokers operate across the country and help buyers and sellers navigate licensing issues in restaurant transactions.